All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday, June 21st, 2023 Mountain Line Board of Directors meeting. Just a reminder for those in attendance today that the Board of Directors may vote to hold an executive session for the purpose of obtaining legal advice from Mountain Line's attorney on any matter listed on the agenda pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute. The executive session may be held at any time during the meeting. And executive sessions are not open to the public pursuant to the Arizona open meeting laws. That being said, Rhonda, shall we move forward with a roll call?
Thank you, Chairman and members of the board. City of Flagstaff, Lori Matthews. Here. Thank you. Coconino County, Geronimo Vasquez.
He just joined.
He just joined. Okay. City of Flagstaff, Miranda Sweet. Here. NAU, Josh Mayer.
Here.
And CCC, Tony Williams.
Here.
Let me just check. Geronimo Vasquez, are you with us? Supervisor Vasquez, are you with us? So we are in the Vera room, staff in the Vera room and on Zoom. And we do have our attorney Scott Holcomb with us and a few guests in the room.
Great. Thank you, Rhonda.
Good morning, all.
Morning, Scott. Moving on in our agenda, I would like to go on to item number 3, which is our safety minute. Sam Short, you are on the deck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. As we learned from the last safety minute, June is National Safety Month. As summer approaches, we wanted to give you some safety tips that are especially important during the warmest months of the year. First would be to stay hydrated. Dehydration is another safety concern during the summer months. Be sure to drink enough liquids throughout the day, as our bodies can lose a lot of water through perspiration when we get hot. Protect your skin. Use sunscreen 30 minutes before going out. Reapply sunscreen every 2 hours or after swimming or sweating a lot. Limit sun exposure during the peak intensity hours between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Stay in the shade whenever possible. Remember to always have an adult supervision for children when around water, whether they're in the pool or playing in the sand at the beach. Having someone who can immediately help them during an emergency is essential. Eye safety. The sun's ultraviolet light can harm your eyes. Wear sunglasses year-round when you're out in the sun. Sun damage to the eyes can occur any time of the year. Choose shades that block 99 to 100% of both UVA and UVB light. During strenuous activities, not only can injuries happen, but heat exhaustion and dehydration can happen more often in the summer months. It helps to be conditioned to the activities in which you're preparing to engage. Warm up, stretch, gear up, go with the buddy, and remember to cool down and stretch afterwards. The Safety and Human Resources team hope you all have a safe and fun summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And I think before we move forward to the call to the public, I believe that Heather is wanting to recognize a retirement.
I do. Thank you, Chair Williams, but the staff member's not yet here. Would it be okay to pause in the middle of the agenda as we go along when he is here? I do have some comments to read that I'd like him to be able to hear if we could just wait for him to arrive.
I'm certainly supportive of that. Absolutely. Other board members as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we
Thank
can
you
do
for
that, Heather.
Thank you.
So this is the point in our meeting where there is a call to the public. Just want to, for anyone that is present to say a few words. Comments relating to items on the agenda will be taken at the time the item is discussed. The board is prohibited under open meeting laws from discussing, considering, or acting on items raised during the call to the public, but may direct the staff to place an item on a future agenda. Individuals are limited to a 3-minute presentation. A spokesperson for 10 or more people present at today's meeting may be given up to 6 minutes to speak. And the board will not recognize anonymous comments. So with that said, do we have any call to the public?
Chairman, we do have one written comment. Our other guests in the room are here to speak on agenda item 6. So I do have a written public comment from Melanie Sharp. And this was sent on an email sent on June 16th. And she writes, "Dear NAPTA Board of Directors and CEO, how about extending Mountain Line to Kachina Village and Mountain Air? It will be a good thing to have in place, especially once the new hospital/healthcare center is built at Fort Tuthill. I hope you will consider this idea. Thanks, Melanie Sharp, RN. Zip code 86005.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Okay.
And thank you, Melanie, for your written comments for today's meeting. Are there any other comments for today's call to the public? Hearing none, we will move forward to item number 5, which is approval of the minutes. I believe we have a regular meeting minutes for April 19th, 2023, and then also a joint meeting between the Board of District Governing Board, or the Board of Directors, and TAC, which occurred on May 17th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for April 19th, 2023?
So moved.
You can't.
And a second?
I'll second.
Miranda, was that you that seconded?
That was.
Was it Josh? Was it Director Mayor that made the motion?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the regular meeting minutes for April 19th, 2023, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. For the Board of Directors and the TAC joint meeting on May 17th, 2023, I would cater a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. It's Lori.
Thank you, Lori. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
You make a latte?
Aye.
Motion carries. But Geronimo, Geronimo, sounds like you were online, and your vote was for or against those minutes?
4, sorry.
Thank you.
Excuse me, man.
With a slideshow.
Okay, we have that behind us. So we're moving on to discussion and action items on our agenda today. Our first item is the zero fare policy. And I believe Heather will be leading us in this this morning. Go ahead, Heather.
Good morning, Chair Williams and members of the board. I do have a brief presentation on the staff report that was included in your packet. And as a reminder, the recommendation before you today after discussion is to direct staff to delay consideration of a zero fare policy and the related work plan items until spring of 2025. And I'll walk through my reasoning for that recommendation. So zero fare transit service is recognized across the nation as a method to expand equitable access to public transit, as well as a means to rebuild transit ridership. This became very evident during COVID, when many systems did not have fares, we did see increases in ridership, and those systems that have maintained that zero fare policy continue to see the increase in ridership. Zero fare transit is also a key measure in reducing household transportation costs. So those are some of the benefits and the why of to consider zero fare. A few other things on a national level, when we talk about the benefits of zero fare, transit is really a public service or utility. And by making it free, it oftentimes strengthens the statement and aligns that roads are free, so should be transit. It reduces the conflict that we oftentimes see on our buses between the driver and passengers who are delaying service because they're finding their fare or they don't have the fare. It improves route timing and performance, meaning that if we're not delayed waiting for that fare payment, the bus could dwell less time at each stop. It reduces the cost of fare collection. That is a cost to every system that collects fares. There's somebody that has to count the money. There's a system that has to be in place for that fare collection. Additionally, it removes barriers to transit, which we talked a little bit in the prior slide. So what are the concerns about zero fare transit? There is a perception of the public around zero fare around fare that riders should pay for the service that they receive. So when you remove that, you do focus on the opposite side of that perception that somebody's getting a service for free. The increase in riders who are using transit for not transit purposes. This is something that has been seen and observed across the country, where people in the valley are using the buses for air conditioning, people in Flagstaff are using the buses as protection from winter weather and other things. We call them riders without destination. There is a concern that if you make it zero fare, would there be such a rush in ridership that buses would not have capacity for that increased demand? Staffing, we will need additional staff to actually be out and available for monitoring compliance of rider rules. For example, we have a rule that you cannot ride the bus for more than one lap, meaning if you get on at the connection center, you have to get off before the bus gets back to the connection center. That's a new conflict for the driver potentially. There's not a fare and you have an increase in riders who are using it for non-transit purposes. And the last concern is really the basis for the recommendation. If we're asking the voters to expand and extend the transit tax in 2024, are we sending a mixed message by going to zero fare now? Ultimately, our recommendation is not to alter our revenue structure that's crucial to current and future operations until we know the outcome of the anticipated 2024 transit tax expansion question and can determine the status of funding necessary to replace expected loss of fares. So fares in 2023 were budgeted at $645,000. Our cost to collect those fares, and this is the reoccurring cost to collect those fares, generously is about $100,000 of that. That does not account for any capital cost to replace equipment, repair equipment, or even to buy the media cards. A key consideration behind this recommendation is that we really feel like we are sending a mixed message to the voters of Flagstaff by going zero fare, reducing our revenue by $645,000 without a way to replace it. And yet we're going to ask the taxpayers to implement a tax on themselves to increase the transit tax for future services. We just fear that zero fare right now would put that funding increase in further jeopardy. There are several options the board could consider. And again, our recommendation is to delay all of this. We could complete the 12 to 18 month work plan item, which was zero fare for K through 12 students. We could introduce zero fare without a pilot, either through a phased program or as a whole program. You could direct us to use existing revenues like our federal funds to cover the lost revenues. We could also use future transit tax money to cover that loss of revenues that threatens the fund balance. And of course, you could introduce zero fare for identified groups of riders. These options, however, we believe These are options, however, we believe it is best to delay all zero fare decisions and for staff to use this time to work towards partnerships that replace those lost fares. City of Tucson is right now working on zero fare programs, and one of the strategies that they've looked at is how to replace those fares through partnerships with the university, the school district, and businesses across town. It's not always as easy as saying zero fare. The revenue still is important to our operating bottom line. So that's my very brief presentation on the recommendation that we are making. And I know we have some members of the public in attendance that I would like to make comments before you have your discussion.
You have a certain
Thank
order
thank you,
to
Heather.
explain?
Thank you. Sure.
So. Chairman, is it okay if we have 3 guests here from the public? Will you just take them one at a time?
Yes, that would be great. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much. Honorable Chair and members of the board, my name is Kyle Mitchke, and I'm the co-executive director of the Arizona Students Association. The Arizona Students Association was founded in 1974 by NAU, ASU, and University of Arizona student body presidents to advocate for student interests. Here in Flagstaff, we registered thousands of new voters in the last decade and trained student leaders to be better advocates. I wanted to testify today to share our official statement on behalf of the zero fare policy recommendations before the board today. The Mountain Line is a really precious resource for our NAU students. The fare-free Route 10 bus line is crucial for transporting our students through campus to downtown and to popular student housing around Woodlands Village. And as we transition to a denser and more climate-friendly town, it's imperative that our NAU students are encouraged to not bring their own personal vehicles with them when they attend NAU. We think that if we're really serious about achieving our goals set in the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, a strong, robust, fare-free citywide Mountain Line is a no-brainer to doing that. And by offering fare-free transport all over the city and county, NAU students will have decreased need of their own personal vehicles to get to work, school, or community activities, and greater access to the rest of the city. Personally, when I was in school, I was an everyday bus rider when I had easy access to Route 10. I would regularly walk for 3 to 5 minutes to the fare-free stop outside the biology building to access downtown, as well as all of my classes. In the last 4 years, since I've moved outside of the range of the fare-free route, I've pretty much exclusively relied on my personal vehicle for transportation around the city. And I'm still just a 3 to 5 minute walk from a bus stop, but I think it's the fact that it costs $2.50 and I can just jump in my car. The Arizona Students Association is deeply appreciative of Mountain Line's commitment to NAU students in city and county, and we understand that the operations of Mountain Line provides cost money. Y'all must balance expanding routes and frequency as well as the increasing employment costs, but at a cost of less than $500,000 a year, less than 5% of yearly operating costs. And then when you go into the capital costs as well too, this is a no-brainer investment that's going to increase ridership, decrease cars on the road, and we think it will increase Mountain Line's goodwill going into the transportation tax in 2024. We actually see us making fare-free ridership as a stronger argument for folks to vote yes on transportation and tracks in 2024. You know, this is something that Mountain Line is providing to the city, and another reason for us to vote yes on that transportation tax. Really being able to say that, you know, Mountain Line is one of the few intergovernmental agencies that is really taking the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan seriously with the electric buses and to do fare-free before 24. I think it'd be really strong messaging going into that transportation bond. In conclusion, the Arizona Students Association would like to see Mountain Line stick to the 2025 strategic draft plan and begin implementation of the fare-free program as soon as possible. We all put fare-free ridership as a priority because it's imperative to reaching our Climate Action and Adaptation Plan goals, as well as increasing ridership and decreasing the number of cars on the road. We can't hold off because we're nervous about the money not coming. I think you've got some awesome citizens and public behind Mountain Line. And I think things have changed since 2018. You're going to have the support going into 24. And let's not wait to make that really positive impact. And thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have another person? Rhonda?
Yes. We have another guest that just arrived. So you can hand that to me. Oh, okay.
Okay.
So Jason, you're gonna go next.
Yes, yeah, hi.
Good morning, Chair Williams, Vice Chair Vasquez, Directors Maher, Matthews and Sweet. Thank you for the time to speak. I'm here on behalf of Free Mountain Line, a group of Greater Flagstaff area community members working together since March 2023 to make Mountain Line bus fare free. We now have 254 supporters who have signed on to our open letter, and we are humbled to share that we have been endorsed by multiple organizations, including the Women's Foundation for the State of Arizona, the Flagstaff Industrial Workers of the World, Arizona Students Association, and the University Union of Northern Arizona American Federation of Teachers. We are your inspiration to make Mountain Line bus fare free. We encourage you to quickly transition to a fare-free bus system. We believe in your abilities to explore and secure creative ways to fund the loss of revenues. There is no better time than now as people are struggling against the rising cost of housing and inflation. The price of a fare-free Mountain Line bus is low compared to the benefits it can provide to our community, economy, environment, and traffic. We will continue growing the campaign to ensure a fare-free Mountain Line bus regardless of the decision today. Please join us and make Mountain Line bus fare-free. Thank you, Jason Crafty, 86017.
Thank you very much. And Rhonda, do we have someone else?
Yes, Robert Scott Singleton.
That's me. Hi, thank you. I don't have anything prepared to read. I just wanted to speak from my heart and say that when I first heard this from Mr. Krudowski, that I just thought, wow, what a great embrace for a transportation company to the community to have a free fare system. I just felt it was like love, right? Because I myself am, well, I don't have a home to go to. I actually stay at the Flagstaff Shelter Services. And getting around, I usually walk 5 miles across town and then 5 miles back and then keep this going every day. So I'm putting on at least 10 miles a day because don't have the funds at the moment to pay that $1.50 or $2.50 fare. And when I heard that there was a possibility of a free fare, it was like, wow, there really is abundance, but it's just our individualisms and getting over the numbers and making the numbers work. There really is an opportunity for me to get out there and be more into the community, to do things, to not have an excuse that, oh, well, I won't look for a job today because I don't have the money. I can't get across town because I've got, you know, my shoes are wearing out. So when I heard this, it was, I thought to myself, man, this is great. There has to be a way that we can, as humans, work out these financial differences and other problems that we have, that and we could bring opportunities to more people. It's really an embrace to the community. You talk about having a system that wants to go into a community and embrace it. That's an embrace. And I think we'll feel that back in a positive way in the future. Now, all systems, they have problems, but it doesn't mean that we're going to get into those problems and we can't solve them. I think that we can solve any problem that we really want to solve. So I think that's the real question. Do we want to solve this problem? I think that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for everyone for giving me the time to speak.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thanks. And we have one more member of the public that has joined that would like to speak on this item as well. Susan, how do you pronounce your last name? I'm sorry?
Immel.
Okay, great. Thank you. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, everyone. I'm here to advocate for the Free Mountain Line. I attended in addition to all the very apt comments that were just made, I attended making Flagstaff a bike free for all. As a person with disability, older woman, I was interested in the for all, and I definitely understand how a Free Mountain Line would help make biking in Flagstaff available for all. And because this town is very inaccessible in a lot of ways, including ways that the gentleman to my left just mentioned. So, and I would really encourage you to be transparent with the last couple of years, what has gone on, and the reason that the brakes were put on. Yeah, I think the mounting traffic problems are, you know, it's just gonna get worse, right? So it's up to you guys to do something about it. And yeah, making Free Mountain Line, I think people would, if you didn't have to deal with fare and like knowing what the fare was and all of that, it certainly would help. It would put a lot of people on the bus of all backgrounds. Thank you very much. And it would, like you said, embrace the community. It would make events more accessible to people, a lot of events more accessible to people, and work more accessible to people, participating in the public more accessible to people. And I would definitely encourage that. I'm sure there was something else I was going to say, but certainly would help the, you know, build the trust as well, that you care about the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Susan.
you.
Rhonda, do we have any other comments?
We do have more comments. I had this all organized before we started, so some of the folks that are here today have had previous comments submitted since this effort started, so I will skip over those. But Tia Tissa from zip code 86001 says, "Dear NAPTA Board of Directors and CEO, I write to inspire you to make Mountain Line bus fare free. I encourage you to quickly transition to a fare-free bus system. I believe in your abilities to explore and secure creative ways to fund the loss of revenues. There is no better time than now as people are struggling against rising costs of housing and inflation. The price of a fare-free Mountain Line bus is low compared to the benefits it can provide to our community, economy, environment, and traffic. Will you please join me in making Mountain Line bus fare free?" And an identical message was received from OJ Ann Renucci -Allen. And both of these comments came in yesterday, June 20th, 2023. So they were not in your agenda packet. And then previously, these were in your agenda packet. There are some duplicates, and so the ones that I found as duplicates, I will just read the name to follow. So this first one was Thursday, March 16th, Soul Battle, zip code 86001. "Dear Metro Plan Executive Board and NAPTA Board of Directors, please help us make Mountain Line bus fare free. Cities across the country are removing fares from public transportation from Tacoma to Albuquerque to Boston. The fare-free model is implemented to increase ridership, boost local economies, reduce environmental impact, and provide transportation for low and middle income workers and families who often can't afford to drive a car or two as they face rising housing costs and inflation. The price of making Mountain Line fare-free is low compared to the benefits it can provide to our community, economy, environment, and traffic. Will you join us in making Mountain Line bus fare-free? So identical messages were received from James Apple, Brian Dales, Hong Wen, Aaron Hebert, Murphy James, and Mariana Alvarez. Okay. Okay, that is it for the comments, as several other submitted comments that were here in the room. So, and those were in your packet. So I believe
Great.
public comments
Rhonda.
have been received.
Thank you, Rhonda, and thank you for all those that are present today that spoke on behalf of the zero fare policy. At this time, Heather, just to recap, you're asking the board or the staff are recommending that the board of directors direct staff to delay consideration of the zero fare policy and related work plan items until spring of 2025. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Do we have any comments or discussion from members of the board?
I have a question. Chairman, I have a question for Heather on delaying it to 2025. Is that to give the staff time to find alternative funding, or I mean, what's the main reason for the delay?
So the delay that's recommended to 2025 is for two reasons. One, we anticipate asking the city of Flagstaff voters to consider a transit tax expansion in November of 2024. And additionally, that does provide us the time, so parallel to the effort on that transit tax question. If the city of Flagstaff does choose to put on the ballot, we would be doing the process to look at what ways we can replace those fares if we went to a zero fare program for both consideration.
And the transit tax that you'll be going to the public for in 2024, that won't go towards a zero fare policy, correct? That's further.
It could.
It could.
So the amount that we are seeking allows us to extend our existing services for another 10 years, potentially expand services as per the Flagstaff in Motion Transportation Plan, 5-year transit plan that was adopted, and allow for the board to consider zero fare. We feel like it will be important for us, if we're going to consider zero fare, that we also know other ways that we could replace that funding if possible.
Do you think that going to the public for a transit tax and then soon after that going to a zero fare would send a negative message? People making the assumption that, oh, you know, we were asked to be taxed on this for expansion, and now we waive the fees. So that could be a negative as well.
Zero fare would be part of our education effort, so it would be disclosed and be
Oh, in the transit
transparently
tax.
part
Oh,
of
okay.
the education efforts around the
Okay,
transit tax. And that will start with, I apologize, that will start with the survey of likely voters and the testing of messaging that the Citizen Advisory Commission advised us upon earlier this month.
Thank you.
I was just gonna ask that.
Director Mayer, it looks like you have your hand up.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question for staff. I believe you mentioned it earlier, but what is the current revenue generated through fares?
So I'm gonna reference the March staff report that was originally prepared for this. It was roughly 644,000 is our current fiscal year budget of fares. Fares are a factor of ridership currently. So as ridership changes, that fares number can change. At our highest, our fares were just over $1 million. And that was in 2019 when our ridership was also 2.5 million riders.
Yeah, you anticipated my question.
I try.
I appreciate that. You also mentioned in the staff report, I believe it was the city of Tucson.
Yes.
And how they're exploring the fare free question as well. You mentioned that there were several entities that are making up that fare difference. Can you sort of restate those for my benefit?
Sure, and I apologize, I'm gonna speak broadly because I don't have that information directly in front of me. And it's been several months since I looked at it, but I know City of Tucson has been fare free since the pandemic. They have extended that fare free several times, and that the last recommendation, they were looking at ongoing revenues from the University of Arizona, which will require state of Arizona support. They were looking at asking the Tucson Unified School District to continue contributing. I want to say it was about $800,000 towards cost. That $800,000 is currently generated through pass sales that are conducted with the school district, so that by going fare free, they could eliminate that $800,000. So they're working with the school district to say, will you continue providing that $800,000? Those were the two partners that stood out distinctly in my mind. I know that they are working with other businesses in the community on fare replacement. Another example not in the staff report that I'm very familiar with is Missoula, Montana, our sister Mountain Line transit system in Montana. They went fare free several years ago, and when they did it for a 3-year pilot program. And they were able to do that because they established relationships with 13 entities that each contributed to cover the cost of those lost fares. So those are different models that we as staff have talked about and are ready and willing to pursue parallel to the transit tax effort.
Understood. And I just wanted to sort of highlight that some of the models and some of the entities that have already gone fare free are already doing some of the things that Mountain Line is doing, correct?
Yes.
And partnering
Yes,
with other public entities, NAU, Flag Unified, what have you, to sort of, in essence, in my mind, sort of reduce the existing fare anyway. Would that be a correct statement?
So currently, the way that we do proceed with partnerships is we certainly work on past agreements. So they are all attached specifically to the fact that we collect fares. So Flagstaff Unified School District buys passes from us for their students, Northland Preparatory Academy, the same. So they are all attached to a pass system. So similar to Tucson, we would need to have those agencies continue to contribute post zero fare, which is, I don't know if we'll be successful in that, but that's certainly something we will pursue. I hope I addressed your question.
You did. So in essence, if those entities that are currently partnering didn't willingly increase their own financial contribution, then ultimately, if we were to go fare free without knowing, then ultimately there would be some other mechanism like the increased transit tax, for example, that would ultimately have to fund that gap.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions. Appreciate it.
First. I have a question out here.
Looks like Vice Chair Vasquez has his hand up. We'll go with him first.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. So my question is, I understand the reasoning behind delaying and tying the free fare to some kind of ballot initiative, and so hence has to be beyond November 24. My only question is, why would we wait until spring of 25 to actually consider the zero policy work plan? Like, that seems like a long time after the election and whatever results happen from there.
It was an arbitrarily selected date, for several reasons. We don't know when the city of Flagstaff will start collecting any new taxes. So that's one, factor. Generally, we would want to have a robust effort to communicate to the public when we go fare free, because people invest in passes, which essentially, if I'm selling a pass in June, that's an annual pass, then instead of trying to figure out a way to refund the investment in those passes, when we go fare free, we would rather align fare free around the expiration of passes. So I chose spring as a broad time frame to allow us the time post an election to figure some of that out. I will just say, if we are able to identify other mechanisms to replace fares prior to the November ballot, we will come back to the board earlier than that. This is not we absolutely will not talk about this till spring of 2025. It is that the board understands it could be as late as spring of 2025 for these items to be completed.
Great, thank you. And then my follow-up question, and I was having technical difficulties earlier, so I apologize if I missed it. Is there the consideration of doing like a pilot route that would be free fare to see what kind of response we have from the community, to see what kind of burden that would put on the system, and three, just to get a taste of what that would be sooner than spring of 25, because you're talking about 18 months away, and for as some of our community members mentioned, this is something that they need sooner rather than later. And I know you're looking for other options, but I was just curious if a pilot route would be an option.
So pilot route is certainly an option. I would offer that we offer free fare currently on Route 10. And so we have a lot of data on what zero fare does for a route. Additionally, we went zero fare during the pandemic, also have data related to how zero fare can impact a transit system. And we have data from models across the nation. So I don't know that a pilot can really give us additional information, but if the board wanted us to pilot something to kind of meet the demands, I think that's reasonable. I would encourage the board to consider a pilot for groups of riders versus a route, because a route becomes very singular to a population that needs that particular route versus serving a group of people. And so, Rhonda, I don't know if you can go back a slide. So in this slide here, Director Vasquez, you can see there is introduce zero fare as the third option here for a group of riders. And we've called out some designations that currently live within our existing fare system. We do not offer any reduced fare programs for individuals that qualify for financial assistance. So that's kind of a new introduction here. But otherwise, we already have fare systems in place for college and university students, for our disabled population, for our senior population, and our K through 12. So any type of group that you could put a designation on, we could pilot the program if the board really wants to do a pilot. I would really discourage it from being a route. But to your point, we could pilot anything that you chose to pilot, if that's what you would like us to do.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And I just want to bring up as well, just for my clarification, Route 10 is the NAU route, correct?
Route 10 is the route that serves campus. It also serves off-campus housing on Beulah Boulevard, as well as retails in that same district. And it comes into the downtown area. And we don't charge fares to any individual on that route. It is not exclusive to students that are using that route. I just wanted to clarify that.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And the only reason I was getting at with that is, and you answered part of that question, is that it's not exclusive to campus. I think I agree with you, targeting groups rather than routes, but in the route mode, if I were to recommend a route, to try a pilot, I would look at a cross-town route and see what kind of ridership and what kind of community support you got for that kind of route. If we went that direction, not that route. But I think I agree with you that maybe targeting groups would be a better option. But if we were to go of piloting a route, I would suggest a cross-town route. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Vasquez. Heather, I do have a question. As you were referencing identified groups as a possible option, what would that entail? How would that be, like, what impact would that have on the management of that process? How does the staff and the drivers, if you will, on the buses manage that? Is it they come to the main office and get a pass, or just kind of trying to work through the logistics of how Mountain Line would manage that process for a identified group of riders?
So I don't have a specific answer, but I can speak a little bit about our existing reduced fare program and how we manage that now. Riders who qualify for reduced fare, the existing groups that qualify for reduced fare are disabled and seniors and K through 12. And that also includes, under the federal requirements, anyone eligible for Medicare. And so what we currently do with those identified groups is they can show any ID that they are eligible under those labels, or they can come to our office and get a reduced fare ID. And so for individuals who qualify using disabled as the qualifier, they generally do come into our office and complete an application that demonstrates that they meet that qualification. I think if we applied that to the free fare, it would have to be a similar situation where we would identify somebody using some sort of label. I'll pick college and university students, since that was called out specifically in our work plan. So then any college or university student in our community with a qualified ID from that educational institute would show that to the driver upon boarding to receive free fare. I think if we get into some of the other groups, as demonstrated on the screen here, like individuals qualifying for financial assistance, they would need to have a process similar to disabled individuals that qualify now for reduced fare. I will just add that one of the challenges with any of these groups, we do have some information on challenges experienced now in how it can delay routes and create confusion about needing an ID, needing a pass, how do I qualify? So that introducing zero fare for a group of people could intensify some of those challenges for our riders and our drivers in the public.
Thank you, Heather. I appreciate that.
We
Any
have
other
a question in the room too.
And who's that question from?
Chair Matthews, Director Matthews, sorry.
Yes, Director Matthews.
Thank you, Chairman. Heather, what would like if we just tomorrow, fare free, lost $500,000 net for this fiscal year, how would that be managed? I mean, what's the impact on that? And that's just not the $500,000, because as you mentioned, we don't know yet if the partners that currently pay for passes, if they're like, well, if you're not charging, there's no guarantee that they'll just continue to give us that portion of the buying of the passes. So
Right, so I do feel pretty comfortable in saying that if we went fare free tomorrow, you could anticipate the loss in revenues to be the 644,000 or greater. Most of our agreements around funding with our partners and things like the school district, they're specifically collected as fares and reported as fares. The one exception to that is our agreement with NAU, and I don't know how going fare free will impact our agreement with NAU, which is currently contributing 50%, up to 50% of the cost of Route 10. And in exchange, they get free fare on Route 10. So if the whole system is fare free, does that impact NAU's willingness to continue that contribution? We've not had that discussion, so I can't answer. So I think it's fair to say we know it's at least $644,000 in lost revenue.
And then how does that impact our operation? That's a significant hit.
It is, and to give you an example, you all are aware of the recent Northern Arizona healthcare conversations and what it was going to cost to run service to that hospital, and that was estimated to be $1.2 million. So in essence, a loss of $644,000 is about half of what it costs to run the service to the hospital. So you could say it could cost us one bus on Route 2, it could cost us one bus on Route 66. I want to be careful because I've not tested that out. But to give you some relevant examples, I feel pretty comfortable in saying reducing our operating revenues by $600,000 does.
We would have to cut a route.
We would need to look at cutting service in the coming years. I don't think it would be a direct immediate cut, but that is a significant amount of our revenue to share services.
Any other comments from members of the board?
This is my comment. I understand the recommendation and we've talked a lot about going fare free and I am for it. And I would just encourage, depending on how the vote goes, that we look as quickly as we can on how to make the fare free happen before relying on the question on the ballot.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Director Sweet. Any other last minute comments from members of the board?
Yeah, I would like to say something.
Yes, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I want to see free fare happen, but I also know that it's all about timing and getting it right. And considering there's an election coming soon, I see the reasoning behind waiting on it. But I agree, if we can find a way to do it before the ballot measure, that would be great. If not, I want to see it, pushed through in the ballot measure. But either way, I think that this is the right direction for us to go to, and I would like to see it happen sooner rather than later. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director Eskin.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I feel similar in your comments there, so thank you for sharing those. Any other items from the board at this time? Hearing none, do I like to call for a motion?
Why don't you put in your motion
Yeah,
with that stipulation?
I'll motion. I motion to go with the staff recommendation to delay the consideration of zero fare policy and related work plan items until spring of 2025, with a caveat on there that we look to go zero fare as quickly as possible with partners.
I'll second that.
We have a first and we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Chair, this is Scott Holcomb. Just, I don't have a problem with the motion, but I wanted to direct it to Heather and just make sure with that you feel that you have sufficient direction from the board.
I do. I'd like to ask one question to clarify. So one of the measures we were taking was to ask the public in our survey of likely voters how zero fare and messaging around zero fare might impact the transit tax support in this community. So I understand the motion and I understand the direction. I would like to bring an update to the board after the results of those surveys, and may at that time have to ask you to reconsider the caveat that you've put on it, but I understand what you're asking for. And It's not that we don't support it, it's that we feel like that question to the public has to be our number one priority right now.
I am good with that.
Yes.
Thank you, Scott.
And I think with that clarification on the record, I think that you're good to go forward. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Scott. Thanks
Thank
for
you, Scott.
bringing that forward. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Moving on to our agenda. Number 7, the fiscal year 2024 proposed budget. I believe Josh is going to lead us in this today. Go ahead, Josh.
Thank you, Chair Williams, and good morning to all members of the board. So today, we're proposing adoption of the fiscal year 2024 budget for as a final approval. So over the last 6 months or so, we've reviewed all the different portions of the budget with both the Transit Advisory Committee and the Board of Directors. And all of the details were outlined in each meeting, and we haven't really had any changes or updates made since those presentations. Rhonda, you can move that to the next slide. So this is just a summary of the overall budget, looking just a 5% increase in the operating budget. Just in a few key areas, our workforce contains a pay plan adjustments and increase to health insurance premiums. And then the insurance and vehicle and facility maintenance pieces are the other major components of the increase. And then the capital budget is obviously just linked to the actual projects that are being worked on and completed. And much of that, about $47 million, is was previously budgeted and approved and is carryover funding. So hopefully we can get those worked on, and next year maybe our capital spending will be less. And then finally, on the next slide, Rhonda, the City of Flagstaff Transit Tax Fund balance, just to demonstrate our financial sustainability. Fund balance monies are used for operating expenses as well as typically required like local match dollars after federal, state, or other grant funds have been spent on the various things. So the blue line is our projection should the budget be adopted. So hopefully that was a sufficient recap. So we'd like to ask for approval of the fiscal year 2024 budget of $64,473,982, including operating expenditures of $11,837,749 and capital expenditures of $52,636,233.
Great. Thank you, Josh. Directors, do we have any questions for Josh? One of the things I do like about these processes with the boards is we see the budget process numerous times over a period of months. And so at this point in time, usually we're kind of all in awareness about things in the budget and the reasons for. So I appreciate that this process. I would welcome a motion at this time.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Josh.
Yes.
Next on our agenda this morning is disadvantaged business enterprises DBE goal for the fiscal or the looks like the 2024 through 2023 cycle. And I believe Heather Higgins, purchasing and contracts officer, will be presenting today.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Chair Williams. Chair Williams and members of the board, I am presenting on the updated disadvantaged business enterprise or DBE goal. As a federally funded entity, Mountain Line is required to maintain a DBE program and set DBE goals as part of our civil rights program. There was more information regarding the overall DBE program included in the staff report in your agenda packet. The goal and methodology establishes Mountain Line's estimated overall goal for FTA assisted contracts. The Mountain Line anticipates awarding in federal fiscal years 24, 25, and 26. The purpose of the DBE goal setting process is to ensure that non-discrimination in the award of U.S. Department of Transportation DOT assisted contracts, to create a level playing field on which DBEs can compete fairly for those contracts, and to ensure the DBE program is narrowly tailored in accordance with applicable laws. We took the following steps in order to evaluate our past DBE goal and to reach our new proposed goal for federal fiscal years 24, 25, and 26. Based on Mountain Line's 10-year plan and anticipated DOT assisted projects, we determined the weight of these projects by the North American Industry Classification NAICS codes. And that gave us, I think this is the next slide, Rhonda. This gave us a value of the project's percentage of total DOT awarded funds. Next slide, Rhonda. Next, we determined the number of vendors available for these products by NAICS code, calculating both the total number of vendors as well as total number of DBE vendors, which gives us a percentage of DBE vendors within the available groups. Next slide, Rhonda. Next, we calculated the weight from step one multiplied by the percentage of available vendors, giving us the rounded weighted base figure of 7%. Next slide. And finally, we calculated our DBE participation over the previous triennial period, which was 6.41. Now, the entirety of participation for fiscal year 2020 period one was one vendor, Cruise Mechanical, who was our vendor for HVAC during the administrative building remodel. And in fiscal year 21, part one was also with one vendor, Transportation Management and Design, our consultant for the strategic investment planning. We use this figure as well as consideration of past participation to weigh the weighted base figure, arriving at the updated proposed DBE goal of 6% for federal fiscal years 24, 25, and 26. The identified goal was made public May 25th on Mountain Line's webpage, sent to Mountain Line's registered vendor list of approximately 575 individual firms, as well as posted to the Arizona Daily Sun for the required 30-day comment period for the tentatively calculated overall goal of 6%. Public comment period ends on July 3rd, and to date, we have not received any comments. We're recommending that the Mountain Line Board of Directors adopt the proposed goal of 6% for federal fiscal years 24, 25, and 26. And that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Heather. Directors. Any questions for Heather? Hearing none, I think I would welcome a motion.
ready to make. I move that we approve the updated DBE goal for the fiscal years 2024 to 2026 based on the FDA guidance for goal setting and is adjusted per the Arizona DOT disparity study for 2020.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Director Mayor. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Got
Is that
2
you, Director
seconds.
Matthews?
It was.
So seconded by Director Matthews. Any further discussion?
Chair,
Although-
this, Chair, this is Scott Holcomb. I just want to clarify, that's the 6% premium being proposed by staff. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Heather.
Thank you all.
Item number 9 on today's agenda is cybersecurity policies, and I believe John Matthews, Information Technology Manager, will be presenting today. Go ahead, John.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So I'm the IT manager for Mountain Line. I'm here to present and seek your approval for a group of cybersecurity policies. These policies will help Mountain Line comply with federal guidelines, improve our ability to mitigate risks, and also hopefully keep our cyber insurance company happy. Just a little bit of trivia before I dive into the policies themselves. So if cybercrime were measured as a country, it would be the 3rd largest economy in the world behind the US and China. So just an idea of the size of the problem we face. So $8 trillion is lost every year. So, and it wasn't stated in the attachment, so I want to clarify that we're specifically seeking the approval of these 13 policies that are listed on the screen. These are more technically focused policies, so really aimed more at IT staff than general Mountain Line staff. We will be coming back in August with some additions to the personnel policy manual with cybersecurity related policies, but that are applicable to all staff. So, these 13 policies have not undergone legal review yet. So if they go through legal review and there are any substantial changes, I'll bring them back both to the TAC and to the board. So if the board, just a general note about cybersecurity, our kind of philosophy here at Mountain Line. And I'm going to throw some alphabet soup at you, so I apologize. So we align with the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, Cybersecurity Framework, CSF. So you may have heard of the CSF. It's pretty common in the industry. We also use the Center for Internet Security, CIS, critical controls to kind of focus our efforts. So CSF is a large framework. Critical controls is more focused on if you need to start with these. So that helps because our time and resources are limited like everyone. So these policies are a list of good things to do for cybersecurity, kind of generally agreed. We do these things already, the majority. We haven't had a written policy to say why we do them. So we're really shoring up our foundation, making sure we understand why we're doing things, so then we can go move forward and refine our procedures and focus our resources even more. So to reiterate, recommending adoption and approval of the 13 policies mentioned as required to meet federal guidelines and improve mitigation of risks. So if anybody has any questions or suggestions?
John, just to confirm, am I correct in understanding that there's no fiscal impact on any of these policies?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Other questions from the board?
If I may, Chair Williams.
Please.
I appreciate the question and I appreciate John saying there's no fiscal impact, but I will just point out, without these policies, there will be fiscal impact because we will continue to see astronomical increases in our cyber security insurance placement. We're going to see those increases anyway, just because of the amount of attention this market's getting, but this is a way to mitigate those increases. And so I just want to acknowledge that these are crucial to, as much as we can, reducing those insurance costs.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that additional clarification, Heather. Directors, do you have any other questions? Hearing none.
Thank you for your time.
Hearing none, I would, you're requesting action on this today, is that right?
That is
That's
correct.
Hearing none, I would welcome a motion to a motion on the recommendation.
I'll move to adopt the cybersecurity policies, the 13 policies that have just been presented to us for Mountain Line.
Thank you, Director Matthews. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Sweet. Any discussion among the board? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, John, and for your follow-up on all that other detail clarification, Heather. Appreciate it. Next on our agenda, next on our agenda today is Mountain Line's new vision, and Heather will be presenting on item number 10.
Thank you again, Chair Williams, Board of Directors. This is a follow-up item from the May joint meeting in which our consulting team from TransPro engaged with you and the Transit Advisory Committee and staff to consider our mission, getting you where you want to go, our vision, and this is follow-up to that. This is the proposed new version of the vision, and so we will be seeking adoption of this vision at the conclusion of this presentation. It's very brief. Just as a reminder, this is our existing vision to create the finest public transportation experience, making needed choices an excellent choice for Arizona communities. This was really developed to make NEPA, move NEPA forward as an agency. And as per the discussion, we all felt that we really need to focus on what is the vision of Mountain Line and what Mountain Line does as a transit program. So the vision as developed at the joint meeting was leading, connecting communities and enhancing quality of lives through sustainable transportation services. Post that meeting, staff certainly said, feels like it's missing something. And so we've tried to take your words and rewrite it just a tad. I think we have maintained the intent of the statement from that meeting. We confirmed this with the TAC. There was no concerns from those members. So we are proposing the vision to be leading the way with sustainable transportation that connects our communities and provides value for our residents. We did talk a lot about the word residents. We liked saying for community, but then we had the word community in there twice. And so this is really where we landed, and we would appreciate any feedback you have. Could certainly go back with a revision if you prefer, but are ultimately hoping that you will support and approve this vision so that we can move forward in updating our documents, et cetera, with this vision that really is reflective of what Mountain Line is about in our programs.
I like it.
That's all I
Heather.
have, Chair Williams.
Thank you, Heather. I really appreciated that process that we went through that day, and how far we went, and gosh, a day's worth of work. Your comment about having communities in there twice I understand that, but actually, when I read it, it recognizes not just our communities, but our individuals, residents, and I think that adds some value to it. So I really do appreciate the fine tuning that this has gone through. Do you have any other comments or recommendations or edits or changes or questions from the directors?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. Just again, I want to reiterate what the chair said. I really appreciate the thought and time that went into it, and I want to thank staff for taking our ideas and conversations and turning it into this vision, and I like it. So just wanted to state that. Thank you.
Director Sweet or Director Matthews, do you have any comments?
I was just going to chime in, Director Sweet. I too would like to echo, the process was wonderful that day. And I loved every minute of it. And I like what the end product is. So thank you. Thank you.
I agree.
Great, thank you. Director Mayer?
Nothing further from me. Thank you.
Great,
Mr.
thank
Chair.
you very much. So Heather, you're asking the board to approve the adoption of the new vision.
I am, please.
All right, directors, I would welcome a motion to approve.
This is Director Sweet, and I would like to move to approve and adopt the new Mountain Line vision that is a result of last month's joint meeting and discussion in May 2023.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Matthews. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
you. Thank you.
Item number 11 today is strategic plan, key performance indicators, and Busy is going to lead us through this this morning. Welcome, Busy.
Great. Thank you, Chair Williams, directors. I'm excited to bring back as well from our May advance, the key performance indicators for our strategic plan. And so here again is our scorecard. So I am seeking adoption today, but I welcome any additional edits that you might have. I'll pause at the end of each slide for additional comments, but as you've already seen this and maybe, it's been updated slightly, hopefully we'll be able to get through this quickly. And I did want to check, is there an executive session that we need to? Nope, perfect. Okay, just want to make sure we're good on time. Thank you. So here's our scorecard. And I did want to recognize when I brought it to the board before, I had some draft goals, and really staff really wasn't able to make these FY23 goals. The only goal that we have really in place currently is our on-time performance, and that's identified in our Title VI service standards. And so really just being transparent that we really don't have goals for this year, and we will be setting goals for FY24 and bringing those back to the board this fall with goals and actual performance. So I just want to recognize that first. So a lot of these goals are not applicable simply because we have not prepared them yet. So the one thing I want to mention on this scorecard that changed is that enhanced safety culture, the vehicle accidents that were preventable. I heard at the May advance that preventable accidents is really the focus that we should be on. And so I did make that adjustment for our scorecard. Everything else has remained the same otherwise. So moving into the first goal, service excellent. So what I heard at the May advance was to state the KPIs, key performance indicators, that we want people to take away from everything in here. So I had a chart, and that's on the next slide. So really making sure we state that KPI. I moved boardings per capita from financial health to service excellence goal here. And I also heard that we're in support of the Net Promoter Score, but we really need to walk through this with the board when scores are available and if we want to implement this key performance indicator in the future. And then I did want to mention, so boardings per capita, I did update that to FY23. The previous stat was pre-COVID. It was FY19 in addition to the other peer agencies that I showed. So that was all pre-COVID data, apples to apples there. And then I did identify, so really that I had access to frequent transit service, but really I called out the KPI. I think the statement that we're really making is residents who are more likely to be dependent on transit have access to the most frequent service. I think that's really the important stat that trying to convey with this chart. So you can see that on the bottom, we have our low income, our minority individuals, and I did take that low income 70% stat, knowing that some of the minority individuals are already overlapping into that low income, and really low income is the item that we're trying to help. We're trying to help with affordability in our community. And so really focusing on that 70% item. And then also we can pull other high level great stats from the chart. And I did just identify that 80% of jobs in Flagstaff are within the Mountain Line service area. So I'll just pause briefly there. Any adjustments we'd like to make to service excellence? Great. Okay, moving on to the next one. Stewardship of resources. Not a lot changed on this item. I did change the graph. And so here, so what I heard was the chart is confusing. Don't combine all the metrics into one bar. Appreciate that. Find a better way to show emissions saved by riding the bus. And so try to make that a subtraction in this chart here. And then there's also the comment, our car, and so here's some analogies for those metrics. So the car free, there was also the comment, are car related metrics best when the majority of riders don't have access to a vehicle? And completely recognize that 72% of our riders do not have access to a vehicle. However, we're still very much in favor of the analogy equal to removing the number of cars from the road. It's the simplest emissions analogy out there. And it really does, again, just trying to go towards that affordability component, enticing new riders, and also just showing the value of Mountain Line to our community. So I'll pause there if there's any changes to stewardship of resources. And hopefully you like the chart better. Yes, okay. Great, not hearing any comments. I'll move to the next one. Investing in Mountain Line workforce. Really what I heard here was providing examples of job changes and our training. So just kind of fill those in. Again, these are items that are not fully in place. So we're working on the framework, tracking those, and then bringing them back to the board this fall. Employee engagement score is the one item that we have in place. And there's that score. So any comments to investing in Mountain Line workforce? Excellent. Great. Enhanced safety culture. Again, just focusing on that preventable accidents. We had that included before, but really that's our scorecard metric. And so no other changes here. And I did want to confirm, we are using the vehicle hour and miles as vehicles are exposed even to during deadhead. That was a question asked, and that is the stat included here, the hours between vehicle accidents. And also there was a request to add FY19 data for comparison. So due to our records retention policy, we actually do not have our records from FY19. So we do not have that available to compare here, but we will make sure to continue bringing that forward in future years. Just making sure that we have that historical stat is really nice for comparison. And then the last item was changing accident to crash. So in the highway world, there's a big emphasis on it's not an accident, it's a crash. Should we be using that same language? And really staff are considering changing accidents to collisions, though the meaning would stay the same. And so we'll adjust that as needed, but really, again, the meaning is the same. Any comments on enhanced safety culture? Excellent, excellent. Oops, amazing. Community engagement. So again, there was that question about car-related metrics. And again, we do think that this makes sense. It addresses transit role and affordability. And so for that, the 28% of riders who do have a vehicle available and experience that cross burden, it is applicable. And then there was a comment that it's not really a community engagement metric, which completely agree with. However, it really doesn't fit in anywhere else under the other goals. So we like the metric, the key performance indicator, and staff would prefer to keep it. But I would love to hear anybody else thinks differently. Awesome. And any other comments on community engagement? And then I have one more goal after this. Financial health, so last item, so I did move the boardings per capita to service excellence. I updated data to FY23, so those are our current stats this year. So 60% of bus operations are covered by local dollars and partnerships. And then there was also the recognition that these are opposing goals. And so I added increasing financial resiliency to the operations KPI to try to acknowledge that discrepancy, that it is opposing goals. However, this increases our resilience. And that's why we would want higher local share for our operations. And then I made a small infographic. Hopefully that helps. The green would be the local, but I'm a big fan of infographics, and so I did hear from staff that maybe that helps. Like, oh, I see, I can see the stat. I see that here. So any changes on the financial health KPIs? Wonderful. Great. Then otherwise, I so appreciate your feedback in May, and I hope you've seen all of those comments reflected here. So I am looking for the board to adopt the KPIs today, and then staff will be working to share that with the public, and then returning this fall again with performance updates and FY24 goals. And with that, I'd love to answer any questions you might have.
Busy, thank you very much. Just have a comment. I just want to thank you for the time and effort that you and staff put into the follow-up from the feedback from the May meeting. It's good to see those adjustments and changes being adopted into the plan, the performance indicators. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. Other members of the board, do you have comments?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Director Mayor or Vice Chair Vasquez? Okay, so I will welcome a motion.
I can motion. This is Director Sweet. Excuse me. I move to approve and adopt Mountain Line key performance indicators, directing staff to add these measures to the 2020-2025 strategic plan.
I have a
Second that.
Thank you, Vice Chair Vasquez. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much, Busy.
Thank you.
And then our looks like one of our last items under this section of our agenda is the item number 12. Wait a second, did I? Yeah, updated guiding principles for our new core values. Heather.
Great, thank you. And since I have the mic, I'm going to take this moment to really thank Busy. So most of you probably wanted KPIs in our strategic plan since it was first conceived in 2019. This is under our prior CEO, and Busy really took the vision and interpreted it and made this deliverable possible. And I'm very excited to have it in here. I just wanted to take this moment to thank Busy for her effort. Okay, so we talked in a prior item about the mission and the vision, and the last piece of what was adopted in 2016 was what we have called for many years affectionately, the guiding principles. Staff really engaged on a great discussion with our consulting team, TransPro, to talk about what does that mean? When we say guiding principles, what does that mean? And so we are presenting to you an update that we as staff believe is important. We'd like your feedback. We're not really asking you to adopt them because this is our interpretation of the mission and the vision and the strategic plan and about how we show up to work every day. So values are essential behaviors for the highest performing and healthiest workplace. So this is again about what we are held personally responsible for as we show up to work and we carry out the work that you all set for us in this strategic plan. Currently, we have this mix of guiding principles. And I think the overall consensus around with staff is this is not strong enough language. When we call them guiding principles, does it really convey that responsibility like the word values does? And so we are proposing, one, that we retitle them to core values, and two, really rewrite these, although you'll see some of these same words in the different versions. We did do several exercises on how to get at core values that are important to our staff. This was the original list that was developed by a couple of our team members. And that we then took to a larger group of our leadership team, people who manage, supervise, or act as leaders in our agency for their feedback. And there were some edits and changes. And so we came up with this draft core values 2.0, which the team then presented to me, and I met with TransPro post the May meeting where you all updated a vision, and we talked about the KPIs with Busy to really talk about what should they final look like. And so we are proposing, this is our final draft of the core values. And I'm still calling it draft because I'd like your feedback before we finalize them to come up with this set of 6 core values: customer commitment, collaboration, respect, integrity, innovation, and sustainability. And then we do provide an I statement, because again, this is about how I show up to work every day. The next steps will be to do a training session with all of our staff in July on the mission, the vision, and these core values, how they tie to the policies and the strategic plan as set by the board. TransPro is going to be doing that effort with our team. And I will tell you, currently, we don't cover this. We don't cover our core values. We don't cover our mission or vision in our new employee orientation. We will also be updating that because we think it's really important, if you want a job here at Mountain Line, to know this is what we expect when you show up to work, no matter what your role is within the agency. So this is our proposed core values. That would replace what are our existing guiding principles. We will make updates within reports, etc. But again, looking for your feedback if you have any on these values as developed by our team.
Thank you, Heather. I really appreciate this. I'll be really curious to know how staff respond to this approach. I like the I statements. I think that helps individuals be reminded of their role within an organization, whether it's Mountain Line or the county or a college or university or even an area business. We all choose to be a part of that, and as a result of that, these are our responsibilities as individuals to contribute to that healthy work environment. So I really do appreciate all that, and look forward to future updates on how the staff are responding. Do you have other questions from the board?
Just a comment, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And one thing that when I look at the core values that you've identified here, one thing that I appreciate about them is that they're reflective of what I believe are community values. And so I appreciate that alignment between Mountain Line and the broader community.
Thank you for that. That was Busy did a lot of work to demonstrate what were all the different values from all of our partners. And we thought too that this was a good reflection of those values, that we are reflecting what our community as a whole holds valuable. Thank you.
It's good.
Any other comments from the directors? And Heather, you're not asking for any action on this today, is that correct? It's just.
I was just seeking feedback. If there are no edits, we will move forward with the training planned next month and start updating documents to reflect these core values. So thank you.
Looks great.
Thank you. All right, well, moving along. We are to the consent agenda. And I would cater a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent.
Second.
Thank you, Director Mayor and Vice Chair Vasquez. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. And progress reports. Heather, are we going to move through all of these items today, one by one, or how do you want to proceed with the August service changes? Do we want Stella to present or talk?
No, I can jump right to current events. The progress reports are of course in your packets, and we're happy to pull them into any future agenda if necessary for additional details. But the only thing that we have as regard to today's meeting is some current event announcements.
Very good. Move forward.
All right, great. The current event report was in your packets, but I would like to draw your attention to several items. First and foremost, Mountain Line will be celebrating our team on July 20th with our employee summer barbecue. July 20th from 11 to 2:30 p.m. We invite you all to join us. Our fleet team prepares the food. It's one of the things they love to do, and it's the first time we've done it since 2019. So we're very excited to have this reintroduction of that event. We will also have, I'm sorry, it's not the first time we did it, last summer too. We will have axe throwing. So if you have your arm all warmed up, come throw an axe inside a very safe cage. Sam is very picky about that. And of course, we invite family members of our employees, and it's a good time to get together and have laughs and share moments together. So if you want to attend and need more information, please let Rhonda or I know. Mountain Line staff, going on to a couple of other items in the report, Mountain Line has kicked off the integrating transit into code study. This was an outcome of the Flagstaff in Motion effort, where the board said, let's make sure that the city adopts Flagstaff in Motion, and two, make sure there's codes to support Flagstaff in Motion. And we're very excited to say when we reached out to the city to have this discussion, city staff said, well, no, wait a minute, we're working on a code study as well. So we were able to integrate our process right into theirs. And we're excited to be included in that. So we will coordinate with them, help pay for some of those efforts through the grant we received. But really excited to see transit included in city codes going forward. We did receive notice on federal awards, both 5310 and 5311. Those are ADOT programs, but it's really passed through federal funding that's critical to our taxi and paratransit program, as well as van pools. And so this gives us another year's worth of funding for all of those programs. I do have some, this is the DCC groundbreaking if you missed it. The building is not there. So these are now forever the last images of that beautiful building that is now down to the ground. And for those that could attend, thank you so much. It was really a great event. And we have a blue shovel that will live in prosperity in our new building once it is constructed, as well as a couple of those beautiful purple bricks. So staff are very excited that we finally made it to that moment in the groundbreaking. You should start to see construction activities, meaning rebuilding, in the coming months. And then some anniversaries to share with you. Aaliyah started with us a year ago, and she actually just got promoted or changed jobs. She's been in Accounting Tech 1 for almost a full year now. She has now moved into our customer service and accounting role at the front desk. So she's wearing dual hats, answering our phone, doing trip planning, and managing accounting duties. Michael Langen started with us a year ago as a transit operator. Came to us from Schwann, so he was doing food delivery and now he's doing people delivery. Rhonda, let's celebrate Rhonda, 12 years as executive assistant and clerk of the board, and just crucial to so much of what we do here. Jen Petrie, transit operator with us for 12 years. Jen started as an operator and is still an operator, and she is really favored by a lot of our riders. She used to drive Route 5 that went past the fall of school, and those kids, they loved her. And I know people who make some of their trips just so that they can include a quick round on Jen's route. Tamara Pittman, celebrating 7 years with us. She's in our accounting division. Tamara did actually start as a bus operator here at Mountain Line. She also served as a customer service representative at the front. and is currently working on her accounting degree at ASU, and I understand she's close to graduation. So we're very excited to see her continue to want to grow and develop with the company. Karen Moeller was previously our customer service agent at the front. So if you've been in and out of our building, she used to sit at the front desk. She left that position and went over to MetroPlan. But we get to celebrate her 9 years of service because MetroPlan is Mountain Line's employees. So Karen is serving as their administrative assistant and clerk of the board, but has served, I don't know how many different roles here at Mountain Line. She's been a driver on both vehicle types. She's been a dispatcher, an ops supervisor, a community outreach specialist. She just has done a lot of different things and is very knowledgeable about Mountain Line. And if you've been in Flagstaff a long time, you may have interacted with Karen. She was also a school teacher for FUSD for many years. Dave Wessel, he has been with MetroPlan for many years. I don't remember his anniversary right off the top of my head, but he joined the Mountain Line team 3 years ago when MetroPlan became employees of Mountain Line. And so we are celebrating that 3-year anniversary with Dave. Do have a couple of promotions to share with you. Or new hires, let me clarify, I have both in this list. Ty Holiday is a senior at NAU, and he has begun in our Montoya Fellowship position, which is really a planning internship that we share with MetroPlan. And so we're excited to have Ty join our team. Want to give recognition to Kate Morley. She has been appointed the executive director at MetroPlan, and when we got done crying about it, we certainly celebrated her success, and we're excited really about the opportunities for collaboration, planning, and engagement between our two agencies. As I've said, MetroPlan is Mountain Line's employees. They actually live inside this building. And it's just such an opportunity for our planning team and Kate's planning team to collaborate. I am extremely excited to welcome Cody Weaver to our team. She is our new HR manager. After a 1.5 years of recruitment efforts, we have finally hired an HR manager. She started this week and already has jumped in both feet first on ways that she can bring her experiences into our environment to support our team. I sent an email out last week with a couple other promotions. Jackie Lenners has been promoted to deputy general manager. And what we really did is we looked at what parts of Kate's job were specifically not planning related, more of that deputy general manager role. And we moved those pieces over into Jackie's existing role. And we are not refilling Kate's role as it was originally designed, which was deputy/planning director. So Jackie will be taking on a little bit of that extra work, also supervising Estella and her grant writing. Ann Dunno, who served as our capital project manager for several years, we promoted her to capital development manager, and we moved her position into operations. She's also overseeing our asset management division, so that maintenance program. So now she's not just part of implementing all of our capital projects, she'll be part of the oversight team for managing those projects post-implementation. 2 changes in our fleet team. Gavin Holzer started out as a bus detailer for us about 5 years ago now. He has just been promoted to mechanic 1. He served as a year as a mechanic assistant, and we're very excited to see that promotion for him. Greg Lyons started out several years ago as a mechanic, and we just promoted him to mechanic 3. And both of these promotions are really recognition of how these individuals jumped in to learn and develop during the pandemic while we've been short, and we're very glad to offer them those opportunities. We do have 3 drivers expected to graduate from our training program in the next 10 days, with 2 more to follow within the 10 days after that. So that's 5 new drivers graduating from our program, and we have 2 or 3 ready to start in July. We continue just to have that turnover in our driver position, but very excited to welcome those individuals. A couple of things to share that are not on your report. We have introduced a new recognition program called the 100 Club. This club, this recognition is for staff that receive 100% rating on our behind the wheel evaluation. So we do behind the wheel evaluations using our camera system. So the driver does not know when they're going to be selected. It is completely done in a manner where they don't know we're looking, they don't know we're on the vehicle. And we had about 20% of our staff achieve 100%. And I just want to know 50% of that 20%, so half of them have been with the agency less than 2 years.
Wow.
So huge congratulations to those individuals in our operations team. And then I will just share one last thing. Miranda already knows about this because she walked in my office just before the meeting. We got an email just prior to this meeting, Tony, after we met, that FTA is awarding $16 million to Mountain Line under the Bus and Bus Facilities Grant Program for the redevelopment of the site and the critical maintenance improvements that we need here. So very excited to share that news with you. It will officially be announced Monday afternoon, but this announcement came from Senator Kelly's office because FTA had notified them, and we're just so thrilled to be able to receive those funds and bring that improvement to our maintenance building and the reuse of this building. So I'm glad to share that with you. And that's everything I have for current events, Chair Williams.
Heather, thank you for that update. I have a couple of things. One, a follow-up to something you said about Kate and you having all the tears. I just want to make a comment that as a representative from Mountain Line on the MetroPlan board, I just want I want everyone at Mountain Line to understand that I think Kate's success has a lot to do with your leadership within the organization. It really became evident when she was meeting with the MetroPlan board that Kate was going to be a really, really good fit. And I'm really excited that there's going to be opportunity for both organizations, agencies to collaborate together. So I want to give you some kudos because it isn't just only one person making that accomplishment. It's the contributions that the leaders in the organizations do to set those people up to move forward and move on. So I just want to recognize you for your leadership in helping develop Kate in the way that she's been able to take on this new responsibility. So thank you.
Oh, that was kind. Thank you.
And then the other item is really excited about the new news about the resources that are becoming our way. But I think earlier in our meeting, you were going to draw special attention to a future retiree.
It was, thank you for that. So I'm going to go backwards in the presentation. You might want to close your eyes. So we at Mountain Line are experiencing one of our first retirees as a young agency. We've not celebrated many retirements. We certainly have had a lot of leaves, but this is a retirement. Jaime Guidardo started out in our organization 16 years ago as a driver for our agency. He continues to be a driver, and he recently announced he will be retiring. And I have just a few comments from some of his peers and leaders to share with you. We were hoping that Jaime could come in. He is operating a vehicle right now and they just could not get him relieved. So a couple of things that his leaders and peers shared with me that I'm delighted to share with you. Jaime has a great sense of humor that is regularly recognized by his riders on both Mountain Line and the Mountain Line paratransit systems. They call in and tell us the stories that he shared with them. He's amiable and caring to all he meets with a smile from ear to ear, greeting his riders and his peers. He's an all-around amazing person. Jaime is always up for a chat and he enjoys socializing with others. He's respectful and welcoming to all he encounters. Jaime has been a huge asset to Mountain Line in his versatility, dependability, and larger than life heart. Jaime's demeanor and positive attitude have always been his strongest qualities. Mountain Line passengers and clients have always been appreciative of seeing him pull up to a stop or outside their homes. Jaime has strong integrity in all he does, and his smiling face will be missed. Jaime is a dynamic member of our team, helping with both bus and paratransit programs, regularly meeting our call for additional hours and assistance. And then I just received one last one. Jaime is an extremely capable individual operating both of our systems with ease. I do not believe has any accidents on his record, actually. If he does, they were very minor. He's approachable and energetic. Some would say a workaholic. if I summed up Jaime in one word, I would say Jaime always showed up for work. So we will miss Jaime desperately. I know his clients will also miss him. His family is relocating to the Valley area. And we tried to convince him to stay, but we're very happy to celebrate his retirement with him. And we will be recognizing him at the summer barbecue as well, so that employees themselves will have a chance to celebrate Jaime's retirement as well. So thank you, Chair Williams, for reminding me about that. I would have been remiss in not celebrating Jaime's retirement.
Great, thank you, Heather. It looks like we have come to the end of our meeting today, which is remarkable considering how many things we had to review and discuss. It looks like our next meeting is scheduled for August 16th, so we will be in recess the month of July. I'm sure you will all find a wonderful way to use your Wednesday morning in the middle of July in a different way. So our next meeting will be August 16th, 2023. It will be a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting based here in Flagstaff in the Mountain Lion Vera Room. And look forward to seeing you all at our August meeting. Is there any other items, anything, future agenda items that board members want to put on the list for the future? Hearing none. I officially announce that we are adjourning for the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair Williams.
Thank you, Chair Williams.
Director
Everybody,
Vasquez.
enjoy your
Thank
July,
you.
your summer.
Enjoy summer.
Bye.